What's up, everybody? It's the Power Bob-omb. I am Mike at YoFizz on Twitter, and my partner in crime is not here right now. Actually, don't know where he is, but the show must go on. So I'm going to begin to run down Raw, and hopefully he can join us for the end segments. Now, at the beginning of Raw, got a lot to cover, so I'm going to go pretty fast here. Roman's music hits, just boos at the opening of Raw. Steph tries to get herself over with some chants and stuff, and you know, the normal Steph thing. And the consequences for interfering in the match last week, the title match for Rusev and Seth Rollins, is they're put in a wrestling match. That's right. The thing they fear most, their job. Mick is sticking up for Steph. He gets angry at superstars and don't listen to him. Basically, he's a big giant baby who can't command his other big giant babies. Mick mentions the ratings war, which Raw is winning and will always win, so it's not really a thing. And then he announces there will be a steel cage match for Owens versus Reigns, since it got interrupted last week, and they want to prevent outside interference. Rollins comes out, and the crowd seems pretty behind him. Rusev and Lana plug their movie and complain that Foley takes a call, and then just complain. Foley then takes a call from Jericho, who is upset, and he is going to be on later. So the opening match is Rollins versus Rusev. Rusev overpowering Seth for a bit. Seth gets off a blockbuster. Rusev runs Seth into a post outside to kind of get control back of the match. And I made a note, like, oh, I haven't a big plastic covers, but maybe that's just a SmackDown thing. I can't really recall. Seth Rollins starts his comeback. Sling Blade, running forearms into the corner. Falcon Arrow near fall. Rusev gets a push up knee, like he kind of goes for like a flapjack and then raises his knee into Rollins, and then when Rollins hits his feet, Rusev hits him with a leg head kick. Seth then starts to come back, springboard knee to the face, two suicide dives, and it ends in a double countout on the stage. Rusev teases the powerbomb through the announce table, but Seth knocks him off the stage and then hits him with a crossbody. And then the fans chant USA. It's pretty simple. Interesting match. It was the first time that we had wrestling near the new announce booth area, so that was kind of neat and notable. Dana and Charlotte and Mick are talking about stuff. Not really important. They announced a triple threat match. Oh, they're going over the pin situation. Dana's like, hey, look, Mick, there was no winner because both their shoulders were down. And Mick's like, well, you're right, Dana. Let's have a triple threat match. So they're triple threat match at Clash of Champions for the women's title. Cruiserweight's video package was Cedric and Brian Kendrick in the video package. Pretty good. There's a Jericho segment, and Jericho says, I'm gonna make a list, and I've never been more excited in my life for a list. But yeah, the rest of the show, he kind of teases this list he's gonna make about everything, all of his grievances against Mick Foley, and why he's bad at his job. Sin Cara is gonna fight Strowman. It is Hispanic Heritage Month. And so, to honor that, we're going to kill Sin Cara. Sin Cara does get some offense in. Then Strowman just hurts Sin Cara, catches a moonsault, and turns it into a power slam, and wins. And then there's this weird, unnatural old-time promos. They're both kind of weird about it. It works for Bayley because her character is awkward. So it works, but Sasha, the words she's saying, she still seems so uncomfortable in this babyface role she's in. And I'm hoping and predicting that they flip her heel at Clash of Champions now that we have like a definitive, this is the person that we're gonna cheer for in Bayley. She will be the biggest babyface, and I'll need some heels for her to fight. Now they have a match. Yep. So it's Dana and Charlotte versus Bayley and Sasha. Charlotte attacks Sasha's back. Sasha and Bayley both kind of get beat down through this whole entire match. Charlotte is really good with rest holds. She's really flexible, so she looks like she's applying a lot more pressure than any other person would normally do. Eventually, Sasha's really getting the beat down. She creates some space with a head scissors, and goes for the tag, but gets stopped. And then eventually, she does get the hot tag. Bayley hits an elbow off the second rope, which Cole is still calling a springboard. Bayley goes for the finish. She goes for the Bayley to belly. But Dana is on the floor and is grabbing Charlotte's leg, so Bayley can't get her up. It distracts Bayley, who gets hit with a big boot and loses. It's weird to see a finish with a big boot, but that's what we saw. Seth and Rollins talk for too long backstage about old times. It's a very reminiscent episode of Raw. Bo Dallas has another squash match, and during the match, there is a "Let's Go Jobber" chant. And that was pretty fun. But Bo shows his aggression and beats this guy up pretty bad. I hope they change his music. I hope they get rid of the sign. But everything else I like about Bo Dallas. I like mean Bo Dallas. More cruiserweight stuff, and then Cesaro is about to come out for his match, and at this point I am just over Cesaro. I'm over his music, which he hated it too. He's hated it since he's had it. I'm over the suit. I'm over almost everything about Cesaro. He's kind of lost his luster here for me. This is kind of like the Dolph Ziggler problem. It's far too late now to give him a push. I know at the end of this best of 7 series, they're supposed to get some sort of title shot. I assume it's for the U.S. title. But one of my friends actually proposed a really funny scenario where he wins, Cesaro does, goes heel, and then announces that he's going on a diet. And he is going to join the cruiserweight division. Yeah, which, you know, I think would be really funny. I took it a step further and said, okay, what if he does like the reverse Crash Holly thing? Yeah, Crash Holly used to come out with the scale, and he said he was, you know, over 400 pounds. He was a super heavyweight. Now, what if Cesaro comes out with a gimmicked scale that whenever he gets on, it says 205 exactly? That would be interesting. Won't happen, but it would be funny. Cesaro wins, pushes the series to 3-3. Now we get a 7th match at Clash Champions. Shocker. They put on a decent match. At this point, I'm enjoying Sheamus far more than I ever have before. I actually hated Sheamus with a passion, and now not so much. I'd rather see Sheamus do stuff than Cesaro at this point. I'm so bored of Cesaro. But I'm sure I will regret saying that if they push Sheamus again, and then I will, oh god dang it, Sheamus. Cesaro barely wins. Jericho is backstage, and he's making the list. The list of Jericho. He's talking to Foley, and he's putting stuff on his list. He's talking into Foley's bad ear. I mean no ear. Foley calls him a stupid idiot, and Jericho writes down, steals other people's gimmick, and uses cheap babyface pop as more grievances against Mick Foley. Now, Jericho is out there. He's going over the list, And I am a bit upset because none of it contains arm bars, which was probably the best list of all time. Cass and Enzo come out and they start talking about they give a list of best friends, so they have their own list. Jericho then says most of those people aren't even real, and those are old, outdated references. This is coming from like a dude who's pushing 50. Shining Stars wants to sell their timeshares, which is just dumb. I guess it's slightly more nefarious than come vacation at our country because it's nice. I'm just making a face. This is dumb. The New Day comes out because they have nothing better to do. It's a direct quote from Big E. The Club comes out. Jericho starts a new list, the Stupid Idiot list, and presumably all of those people who are in the ring are on the Stupid Idiot list. As he's making his new list and walking way upstage, Sammy's music hits. For surprise factor, Jericho doesn't seem to notice the music blaring through the stadium and gets clocked by Sami Zayn. And then a brawl breaks out where Xavier Woods standing on the turnbuckles with his trombone trying to stay out of it. There's a commercial break, and after everyone's broken up from the brawl, they've decided 10-man tag. Jericho wrestles in leather pants, which is pretty cool. You should probably keep doing it. Big E does the abdominal stretch spank, which I know is important, and I needed to cover it. The New Day had some new tag team moves. Big E went down on all fours, and they kind of did a Poetry in Motion-esque move, but instead of like a leg clothesline, Kofi went for like a jump, like off the Big E splash. Carl Anderson has a sick spine buster, and then eventually the babyfaces win with the Bob-omb shakalaka, which I wish. That's a dumb name. There's a Hispanic Heritage Month spotlight on Eddie Guerrero, and it was, you know, as most video packages are in the WWE, it's done very well. It made me very sad, very, very sad actually, that I was kind of sitting there and I was like, man, I missed a lot of Eddie Guerrero's probably best stuff, and you know, he was so good at what he did, and you know, it's just sad what happened to him, that his body was broken down, and you know, things just didn't go well for him, and he did some, yeah, well, poor Eddie. And his family and friends too. You know, no one wanted to see him go that early. It's far too young. Mick introduced some cruiserweights. He pulls out a cue card for this. Obviously, he did not watch the Cruiserweight Classic. But Rich Swann, Grand Metalik, who had a short video package with no subs, Cedric Alexander and the Brian Kendrick, and they're going to have a fatal four-way match for being #1 contender and getting a title shot at Clash of Champions. The Brian Kendrick leaves the ring to start the match because he's a smart veteran. Cedric Alexander looks awesome this whole match. Brian trapped Rich Swann's foot into the handhole of the stairs, which was something new and pretty cool. Then Grand Metalik hit a standing shooting star, which is impressive, but not as impressive as later. He then went for a moonsault and it was countered. Swann hit like a tiger driver into a jackknife cover. Sorry if I got the name wrong. Alexander broke it up with a double foot stomp across Swann's exposed stomach. It looked like it hurt. Cedric then does a handspring springboard into an enziguri. I was trying to describe it in words, so you can probably picture what I'm thinking of. For a near fall there, Kendrick then takes Cedric out and goes for a sliced bread on, but Metalik blocks it, and then gets hit with a tornado DDT for a near fall. Cedric then takes out Bryan with a running, jumping knee. Swann hits Cedric with a kick to the head, pulls him into the corner, and does a standing 450, which remains one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. He kind of gets ready for it. He does like a lot of jumping to get some momentum, and then just goes for it, and it's amazing. Kendrick throws Swann outside, goes for his submission called the Captain's Hook, which is basically... it's kind of like a camel clutch, but it's with one arm. You get the dude's chin in your little elbow joint there, and you just wrench back. It's a pretty cool submission. Metallic breaks it up. Cedric hits the lumbar check on Metallic, and Kendrick comes in and gets Cedric Alexander in the Captain's Hook again and makes him tap. So the Brian Kendrick will have a cruiserweight title shot at Clash of Champions. The main event is the cage match. There is a delete chant. And apparently there's more delete chants throughout the show, but there's a delete chant here before the match. Owens does not want to fight. He tries to go through the door twice, then tries to climb out over the cage when he can't do it. Later he hits a cannonball, but can't escape again. Roman stops Kevin Owens. KO goes for the senton, but Roman gets his knees up. And actually, it appears if he hurt his knees on the senton block. Roman then tries to escape, and KO holds him back as they slug it out. KO hits a super kick and goes for the pop-up powerbomb, but Roman turns it into a Superman punch. Goes for a spear. KO kicks him in the head. Then hits the pop-up powerbomb. Goes for the pin. Roman kicks out. KO then tries to escape. Roman stops him. They fight on the cage. KO is slamming Roman's head into the side of the cage, shouting that he's the guy. This is my show. And eventually hits Roman so hard that he kind of gets slunked over into the corner, like the top ropes, but is in the corner of the cage, still standing. And then he hits a very desperate Superman punch from the top rope onto Owens, who's trying to escape. They both fall. Roman climbs up over the cage as KO goes for the door. So they're both escaping. Roman hits the floor first, thus he beats Kevin Owens. I guess you want to beat Kevin Owens so you can set up Roman Reigns as a claim to the title. But you didn't want to make Kevin Owens look weak before his title match this week, but you wanted to beat him. So, whatever. This didn't seem very commanding, but it seemed very unnecessary. Then Rusev comes out. They decide to beat up Roman, him and KO. And KO gets in the ring. He kicks the cage door open and it gets slammed into the face of Roman. Then he starts yelling at Rusev to Machka something, which is pretty good. They both bring Roman in the ring. Rusev has a chain and a lock, so he locks the cage door so no one will get in. Then they beat up Roman together. They seem to be having a pretty good time. Owens turns over Reigns to give Rusev a clear shot at the accolade. And he kind of flipped him over and said, "Here you go, buddy." And you know, Rusev is like, "Hell yeah, I'm gonna do it to him," and he does. Then Rollins' music hits, and there is a giant pop for him. He goes right over the cage. He fights Owens and Rusev from because they're trying to cut him off. So he's fighting them from the top of the cage, and then they're down in the ring, and he finally reaches the top of the cage. They're standing there, kind of dumbfounded. They just got hit in the face, and now they're going to hit with a crossbody from the top of the cage. He takes out Rusev and Owens, and then they go off the air. Man, pretty exciting end to Raw. Rollins, it's taken a little bit for fans to get behind him because he's still kind of being a baby about Stephanie not picking him or being in on the Hunter thing. And SmackDown. starts. SmackDown Live. Alright. Start the 4th hour of wrestling this week. As Daniel Bryan brings out Becky and Alexa Bliss for a civil contract signing, which everyone boos. I love Alexa Bliss. She's fantastic. She emotes so well and plays her character super good. So everything she does, I'm a big fan of. Alexa calls Becky a one-hit wonder, and then hits her with the contract, signs it, and throws it at her, and then throws a table at her. It's pretty badass. She leaves, and then Becky chases her down. Bryan and Miz, apparently Miz got a new contract. I didn't tell you until now. But there is a clause in his contract that if he doesn't defend his title when they want him to, his contract will get canceled. So he doesn't get paid anymore, and that's bad. So Miz didn't want to fight. Bryan told him about the clause, so he has to fight. He has to fight Dolph Ziggler. Wow. Okay. American Alpha versus the Evil Usos. Chad Gable comes out, and he's pretty on fire. He does some suplexes and takedowns. He starts targeting Jimmy's leg. And they call Slater and Rhino Beauty and the Man Beast, and they're watching the tag match backstage. The American Alphas hit the double drop kicks. Chad Gable then gets his knee caught in the ropes, and the Usos start attacking it like sharks to chum. There's a hot tag tease, but gets stopped. He finally gets it. Jordan kills the Usos with belly to bellies. Straps comes down, gets the corner spear, suplex, and then a super belly to belly is blocked. There's a near finish super kick Samoan splash combo. Gable breaks it up, but then he goes outside, lands on his knee. Jordan is fighting with fire, but can't take on both. Chad Gable's knee gives out, and Jason Jordan says, "Are you okay?" And Gable's like, "Yeah, I'm good." But he goes, "Nah, I got it. You're hurt. I got it." And so he's trying to fight them both off. But alas, Jordan gets stopped. Gable's trying to come in for the save, but he gets chop blocked. Jordan gets hit with a double super kick and a splash for the loss. Rhino and Slater do some comedy. The Usos come back and threaten them. Rhino crushed his crackers. That's how mad he was. You know how much he loves those crackers and Cheese Whiz. In fact, Slater now Cheese Whizzes Rhino's crackers. He can't be... He's got stuff to do. He can't Cheese Whiz his own cracker. Apollo Crews is going to fight Corbin with Jack at commentary. Who is Jack? Jack Swagger. That's who it is. Oh, you probably forgot. Because who gives crap about Jack Swagger? Crews isn't smiling, he looks serious, and that changes nearly everything in his match. I am now interested. If you haven't seen it and you've been bored with Crews, you should watch it, because it does actually bring a big world of difference to his match. It's a great change of pace. Corbin eventually wins the very physical match. He puts on a clinic on Crews, actually. Wins with the end of days, stares down Jack Swagger, and then he left. I don't know. I actually cared about a Crews match, and that was pretty neat. Normally, I don't ever. But this time, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Kurt Hawkins facts, and he does weird and stuff in like racist accents. It was weird and bad and uncomfortable, and I did not like it. There's a Feel the Glow promo. Naomi tells you what feeling the glow means. It doesn't just mean look at these lights. It means feel good about yourself. Renee is interviewing Dolph Ziggler, and Dolph wants to prove that he belongs, but I'm certain that he doesn't. So, whatever. He has a match next with Miz. Miz, all the while, is stealing Daniel Bryan's moves. Dolph and Miz, they put on another good match. But towards the end, Maurice goes for the spray. The dreaded can of spray. And the ref sees and throws her out. But she drops the can of spray on the ground. Dolph goes for a roll-up. Is reversed into another roll-up. Dolph escapes. And then hits Miz with a zigzag for a near fall that the whole arena bought into and were excited about. Everyone wants to see Dolph succeed, but they don't care until he's about to or until he does, because they've been conditioned not to care because it's not going to happen. Miz then grabs his belt and tries to leave. He's had enough of this match. Dolph sees this, he runs after him, stops him, throws him into the steps. Dolph is kind of, playing to the crowd a little bit. And while he's not looking, the Miz picks up the spray, and he's still holding on to his title belt. And Dolph Ziggler throws the Miz back in the ring, and as he's rolling into the ring, he kind of throws the IC belt, which distracts the ref. Like, look, shiny thing, it's going. And he's like, oh my goodness, it is a shiny thing, I am going. And so he goes for the belt. He's grabbing it, he's picking it up, he's putting it away. And as he's doing it, the Miz sprays Dolph Ziggler's face. The nefarious spray makes his return, and he hits the Miz with the skull-crushing finale, gets the win, retains his belt, and I guess keeps this feud going because he cheated once again to beat Dolph, and that's the only way he can beat Dolph apparently, and that's going to be his thing. And now he's going to have to prove that he can beat the Miz because he's been so close. He's been so close. He's got to do it. It's going to be verbatim the promo he cuts on Tuesday. Randy Orton has a match with Rowan. Try to explain to me why I care. Try to explain to me why Eric Rowan is back in Bray's good graces. Try to explain to me any of this. I am so turned off and tuned out by this feud. And, in general, kind of Bray Wyatt right now. Randy has his match. He goes for the RKO early. Kind of gets beat up for a good amount of time. And then hits the RKO. That's that. Wins the match. Bray does a video promo and says, "You're a man and you can die. And I am a god and I can't." Apparently they're going to have a shootout at the next pay-per-view. And one man will die. It won't be Bray though, because he literally cannot. He is a god. Apparently. There's a women's tag match. Naomi is the only one to get an entrance, and it's still pretty cool. And actually, the entrance was longer than the match. Natty gets Nikki in the sharpshooter really quick, right in the middle of the ring. Probably going to win. Carmella, though, pulls out Nikki, who is Natty's tag team partner, mind you, and then slams Nikki Bella into the barricade, which apparently is DQ. She's in the match. It's a tag match. It's Naomi and Nikki versus Natty and Carmella. But it's a DQ for some reason. Why is that? Women can't be vicious? Is that? Or I could have counted her out, or Carmella could have used a weapon. That could have been a DQ. This shouldn't have been a DQ. Everyone was confused. Naomi takes about 5 minutes, realizes, I don't know, I'm going to kick Natty. Then, takes another 30 seconds to go, oh wait, my friend is getting killed on the outside of the ring. Let me go confront Carmella. Doesn't attack her, just stands in the way. Carmella walks away. Whatever. AJ is backstage polishing his belt. And he gives the dictionary definition of rivalry and says he's not in one. Because neither Cena or Dean Ambrose are on his level. Which is necessary for a rival to be a rival. He says he is the champ and superior. He says the only way he loses the belt is if he doesn't get beat to lose it. So, there's that. Cena and Ambrose have a match at the end. Ambrose hits the Dirty D's for a near fall, but it's a weak cover, so Cena kicks out. Cena, you know, they have a decent match, and I wish Alex is here because it's fresher in his mind than it is in mine. But eventually, the match ends. Dean beats Cena with a roll-up, clean in the middle. And it didn't really mean anything because it's on a Raw that no one watched. The ratings were extremely low. And it doesn't lead to anything. He gets a title shot next week against AJ Styles for beating Cena. Or not even for beating Cena, just to fulfill a promise that Shane promised. That's what Daniel Bryan is saying. And why this matters, I don't know. Because they're having a triple threat match at the next pay-per-view. So why does this matter? Because going into the match as champion doesn't matter. If it were a singles match, it would matter, because there's the champion's advantage, but that doesn't exist in a triple threat. No one has an advantage in a triple threat. No one. So this match doesn't matter. Ambrose beating Cena, which should be a big deal, isn't a big deal. They even play it off. The announcers play it off. It's not an upset, but it's surprising. It's not an upset. They should be yelling and screaming to the high heavens that Dean Ambrose beat Cena clean in the middle of the ring. No. AJ Styles comes out. He lays out Cena and Ambrose. Taunts them a bunch. And that's when Bryan came out and did his thing. And then Dean hits AJ Styles with the Dirty Deeds. And then they have like 5 minutes of replays, and then that's the end of that. It's a quick, clean recap of SmackDown in under 15 minutes. I'm pretty proud of that. Well, since Alex is not here still, and I don't have time to wait, we will hold off on the top 10 tag teams for next week. But I will give you my predictions for the pay-per-view, the Raw's pay-per-view, Clash of Champions. Here we go. It's Nia Jax versus Fox. My prediction is Nia Jax wins and then is arrested for murder after the pin. Cesaro and Sheamus. And I'm going to reiterate how bored I am with Cesaro. I kind of hope Sheamus would win. But I think Cesaro will win because it seems obvious, especially based on the story. But you could tell the alternative story where, you know, he fought so valiantly, but then couldn't do it in the end. I guess. Then there is Jericho versus Sami Zayn. I think Jericho probably wins with interference from Kevin Owens. If there's no interference, I think Sami's going to win. But I'm going to go with Jericho. Based on this interference theory, Kevin Owens will beat up Sami Zayn and set up something. Eventually, they're going to have a feud over the title. It has to happen. The New Day versus the Club, and I think the Club will finally win, and I hope that they will make them return to kind of how they started out in the WWE, just kind of kicking ass, being intimidating bald dudes who kick butt. The Cruiserweight Championship match, TJ Perkins versus the Brian Kendrick. If TJ Perkins loses in its first title defense, and he hasn't even appeared on Raw yet, that would be ridiculous. So I think TJP is going to win and retain the title. There is Roman Reigns versus Rusev. And I think that Reigns will win the U.S. title. I think he will kind of cool him off of the main event, but keep him, you know, at the near top of the card. It's a title, you know, and this title's been kind of strong, so I think they're going to do that with Reigns. and maybe they will get him over that way. And he won't be the main title holder, but he will be a title holder, and then maybe we'll warm up to him. I don't think I will. There's the women's triple threat with Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte. I think Bayley is going to win and Sasha's going to turn heel. This is more my fantasy booking than it is my true prediction, but I hope Bayley wins. And I think that Dana will probably cost Charlotte the win somehow, and then that will keep her out of the title picture for a while, and then Bayley and Sasha will feud. I think that Bayley wins, Sasha does like a respect angle, shakes her hand, then turns the handshake into a bank statement, something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. Then there's KO versus Seth Rollins. In the Triple H is my dad match. I think Kevin Owens will retain the title. A lot of people will probably speculate that Triple H makes his return here. I'm going to say that Kevin Owens does win his title back, though. And I think that'll wrap it up. So again, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at YoFizz. And if you want to follow Alex on Twitter, he's at AlexLane42, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. Let's pull it up real quick. He's not here. Yep, that's what it is. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Thank you for watching The Giant Bob-omb, and we'll give you our top 10 tag teams of all time, hopefully next week. And we will go back over our predictions. I will get his predictions before the pay-per-view starts, and we'll talk about that next week as well. Thank you for listening to The Giant Bob-omb. I'm sorry, not The Power Bob-omb. Been listening to too much of another podcast, so thank you for tuning in. I hope you keep tuning in and spread the word. The Bob-omb, the Power Bob-omb, the Power Bob-omb. There it is.